Ce serait bien crack. Ouais, c'est le jeu. Alors c'est parti pour Lotus Challenge 2003.
Good evening, everybody. It's Monday night, my friends. And I'm back. I'm just sort of getting things together here, but we should be able to bring up the screen. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome. Hope everyone is doing well. And hope you all had a good weekend and a good start to your week and all of those things. So on, what was it, Friday night, I ended up getting started on the initial, excuse me, wouldn't be a stream if I don't start yawning right off the bat. I got started on the initial investigation into how to start integrating with YouTube. We've got the launcher to a point where things are working, at least through the IDE. I still have to work on some things with the launcher. Still have to get it compiling, running from the compiled state, because it was running from the compiled state, but it's I've added some additional dependencies and stuff, and so I just gotta get that working. We'll eventually have to get the icons working on it, and then I need to be able to test it on Windows and everything. My goal now that I'm fairly confident that we're close to having something that could be viable, like the bones are here for the most part. My goal right now is to get these initial, we have our initial Twitch handshake done. I want to get the initial YouTube handshake done, where I can get the data back about your whatever channel you've linked to it. And then I want to, excuse me. Oh man, every time. And then I want to wire up alerts, at least one alert, like maybe a follow alert or something for both YouTube and Twitch, and see that actually working and stuff. And if I've got that at least one alert working, then I want to jump into seeing what I need to do to get a combined chat going and showing that at least in the app. I don't necessarily have to get it to be on the screen. I do want it to be on the screen eventually, but if I can at least get it working on a web page on the app, then we're halfway there. I mean, it's like 90% of the way there. So instead of showing it on that web page, I showed it on a different web page. The one that going through the browser sourced OBS. And once I can get to that point, I want to start. Like, I'll probably jump back to the launcher and get it compiling properly and running from the compiled state, and compile it for Windows, and then bring it over to my streaming PC and start using it for myself. I'm going to be the first and only tester on it. Get it working, see if it, let it run, make sure it's working on, make sure it continues to work over time. It doesn't have like random crashes, or it doesn't use all the memory left in your system and stuff like that. Just kind of letting it run. I definitely want to at some point take a few streams and get a test suite written for it, and just get into that and just try to get tests done, at least very basic tests anyway. And then, then I just expand upon it, start putting some polish on it, start getting some icons working. I know that when I start the server right now, for some reason, and I have to look at it, for some reason when you hit start server button, it's hanging the launcher, like the swing thread. And I thought I had started in a new like in a separate thread, this separate swing thread. But it looks like it's like freezing the button and stuff, which is not what I want. So I'll have to revisit that and everything, so that the launcher doesn't look like it's frozen for however long it takes to start that up. And it doesn't take very long to start up, granted, but I still don't want it to. I don't want the button to look like it's, not working. Like it kind of freezes as selected, and I just it's little things like that you want to kind of nip in the bud too there. Also, probably have some settings in the launcher. I haven't figured out what settings yet, but I do have a settings menu there. And yeah, just gotta kind of have to figure some of that stuff out as we go. And I'd like to, before I get this into anyone else's hands, I want to make sure that, there's some polish. It may not be completely polished, but I want to make sure there's some polish there. And I got to get the certificates to be a part to load themselves up as part of the post install script. So I have to do all that stuff, get all that packaged up and working, which I don't predict is going to be too difficult, but it's probably going to take a little bit of trial and error to get it to work. And then I want to add in, all the other like basic alerts and stuff. And I need to come up with the framework of what the alert is going to be like, because in my mind, I know a bit about coding. I just don't know what programming you're using first time. Java. I'm using Java for all this, Java code. So that's what's happening, and I'm, this is for the Magenta Breeze project that I'm working on, which is basically a streamer bots / alert thing. So yeah. What else? Yeah, I want to, before it gets into anybody's hands, I want to build out all the alerts, and then part of the alert subsystem is I want to be sure I can give the more advanced users, myself as well as more advanced users, the ability to really customize their alerts. And what I'm talking about there is a lot of these platform, alert bots and stuff, they really only give you like a text field, and they might give you like a few replacement strings, and then that's it. And I want to be able to not only give myself, but also give, the more advanced users a way to, utilize the velocity engine to make something a little bit more dynamic. In my head, what I really want is, say, for instance, someone subscribes. I want to be able to show, like, one of the alerts that I want to put as part of the, as part of the rollout of this, is to be able to show, who subscribed on what platform. And I kind of want it to be like sort of an animated GIF almost, where it's you're seeing the subscribe button animate for that is appropriate for the platform that they did it for, whether it's YouTube or Twitch. And then also have like a little calendar, like image of a pull calendar with sheets on it, to show like how many months they've subscribed. All that requires a little bit more than just like a text integration. Like you need to be able to, have like a little bit of JavaScript in there and stuff like that, to kind of pull that off, as well as some CSS and things. So that's the kind of thing I want to be able to do. And I want to be able to provide sort of out of the box as well, for those that don't want to sit there and try to program something. But those are my initial thoughts. We're still quite a ways away from all that. Mostly because I just can't, my brain will not allow me to to write this code every single day, and also do like the day job coding and all that stuff. So I kind of have to like do what I can. It's gonna be lots of pages. Yeah, it's it'll I think it'll be interesting. I think that's the one thing that would be really good, is to have these sort of a little more dynamic alert system and stuff like that. Something to kind of stand out a little bit from the relatively mundane stuff that's out there right now. But also, above all else, actually work. That's the main thing. And that's the thing. And that's why I want to be the first tester of it, because I want to make sure that it's working, every single day, and it's can run for many days without any intervention and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Right now we're looking at the getting the initial handshake with YouTube here written. Which seems relatively straightforward. Where was I? I was doing it here, right? It's just that I need to provide some of these URIs, which I have a feeling YouTube just shoves into that like JSON file that it gives you. So I might have to like pull from that, and let's see if I'm gonna go in there. So I think I'll have to grab that from here. I gotta hide the screen for a second while I go look at our API stuff, because you never know what they're gonna put on the screen. Credentials. Download JSON. Okay, let me see what that looks like before I show anything. Open. And where the heck did that go, is the question. Okay. is. I see. Yeah, here's the off URL. This is just an easier way to get the off URI and stuff that I need. 1 second here, friends. Do that, and oh no, why is it doing this thing again? Oh, I hate this. I get this problem where it thinks that there's a key. It's like stuck or something, and it's freaking not. 1 second longer here. Let me do. I gotta go under barrier, and it's barrier that's doing it. It's like thinks that there's like it keeps sending the wrong key for some reason sometimes. So I keep like highlighting rows and things. Let's reload that. All right, let's see now. What do we have here now? Can I now click on things without it highlighting? Yeah, looks like it. Okay. What's the other one I needed? Token URI. And there's also another one here. I guess I got to put that on there too. Token URI equals that. YouTube search. There's the redirect URIs to the YouTube OAuth redirects. Okay. So those are in there. Okay, I think I can show this again. All right. So I wanted to grab these URLs out of the JSON file that they have you download because I couldn't. It was easier to do it there than to try to search their documentation for it. So that's good. So this would be off URL. Token URL, and then there was a certificate. If I have to do that or not. Didn't have it on there. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, and then the client ID and the client secret I have. In my secure storage, so I just have to read those in. Okay, so where is the... I have to do... What do I have to do? I have to do... Secure... Storage util... Get value... Secure storage. I forget what. You should be able to keybind so you don't have to type the character each time. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what. Let me see. So I gotta do, what did I load the, did I load the normal keys into? I'm pretty sure I load those into a thing. I think it's secure storage runner. That's not it. I load these up. Init. No, it's a listener, right? I thought I loaded. Maybe I don't load it. Or no, no, it's not that I load it. I use something to get it. What did I call it? What did I call it? I don't even remember now. Damn. I called it. Front end OAuth. OAuth couldn't call back controller. I am just completely drawing a blank here. have this backend integration Twitch. There's nothing in it. What do I do in here? I go to settings, accounts, create. Okay. There we go. Get Twitch logged in user. Wait, access token. Okay, access token comes in from there. So I'm not actually pulling it from. I'm just saving it. Yeah, but I gotta pull the. I gotta pull the auth URL. What am I doing there? Here it is. Get value from secure storage keys. JPI. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Not used to Java, used to Luna and others. Make a new file with the shortcut keys and press A and highlights the script and it's like copy and paste. Oh, you're talking about the post install scripts and stuff. Like I have some scripts written already. For that, I just have to do it. So this is, so I called it, this is what I was looking for. I called it keys. I should have just given myself a thing here. I'm gonna do that right now so I don't have to remember what this is. So private static final string keys token map. Let's say public static string get value 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 key from your storage. key. There. And just say return get value. Loader there, and value key. Wish I had a better way to call it. Get well, it is what it is. Give value key from a secure storage. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, I guess. Just do that. Okay, found that, so then I just need over here, get value key from secure storage, and I want, I forget what I called it, so I'll have to look that up. But I need the resource loader. I just do that as an auto wired? I did, okay. Cool. Oh, we got that. Resource loader. Secret. I wonder. Yeah, no, the client secret would be stays the same, I would think. I would think. Yeah, because it's not a refresh token or anything like that. Okay. So we have that. So I need to go grab the names of those. So let me hide this again for real quick. Alright. And wasn't there a... Interestingly enough, it doesn't seem like I have to give it the API token, but I guess that's because that's probably not for... It's probably not for the OAuth, it's probably for something else. And to redirect URIs, slash here. Really, I should just make this another controller instead of just doing it here. Got the Twitch OAuth controller. And just do another one. Although, the only thing there is I'm not, see, unlike the Twitch one, I'm not handling the response back from the OAuth. I'm just giving it, I'm letting the Google thing take care of it. Kind of, sort of. So how do they say to use this? Conversation code flow. Client service. The scope too. I'm guessing because this is not a web app that they're using here. So I wonder how they're doing it as a web app. I also wonder if Copilot can figure it out as well. I'm kind of curious to see here. Can you give me an example of authenticating of authenticating and retrieve authenticating and retrieving a YouTube channel name and profile picture using the Google using the Java, using the Google YouTube v3 Java API in a web application. This might be too much. Java's taking a while to get used to it. Usually make games with high more. A little harsh to deal with. Usually go around it, but do it. But to do what you're trying to, don't think you're able to go around the flows. Yeah, it's I mean, in this case, I'm using Spring to do all the heavy lifting with the web application and stuff. So I don't have to so I'm just kind of telling Spring like, here's a controller, here's this, here's that. So I don't have to deal with the normal nitty gritty of like handling, you know, traffic coming in and going out and all that stuff. But in this case, it's like the examples that Google gives are of like fat applications, not web apps. And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that makes sense from the flow of the user coming in and going out to authenticate and stuff. Because what will happen is the user will say, I want to add a YouTube connection, and then I send them out to Google to authenticate. They choose what their channel name is, and then that comes back into my web app, and then I have to take that information and use it to then make an API call and stuff to get their basic data about their channel. And the Google Java library actually takes care of all of that, which is both good and bad. It's good in that it takes care of all that, and you can just, if you're running just a command line thing, boom, you're done. But it's also bad in that I'm trying to figure out how to do it piecemeal, because the user's going to go away and then they're going to come back in. And I need to make sure that I can handle that. And what is this doing? YouTube user Google authorization flow. Authenticate user. Authenticate. Client secrets. Channel details. Authorization code for, yeah, that's not really cases. Can you rewrite the above to work in Spring MVC? Well, it took the really easy way out. It said, oh yeah, just make a YouTube service. Well, next create a YouTube controller class that will handle the OAuth callback and use the YouTube service to get the channel details. And then it just kind of cut off. Please continue. There we go. What's happening here? Why can't I? Why have I lost the ability to scroll up in this window? There it is. Okay, so what are you doing? Get YouTube service. The ID of the YouTube channel, you want to get the details of. Callback from YouTube's OAuth flow. Okay. Code and state, but it's not YouTube service code. Your redirector. Why would I pass my redirect URI if they're already coming back? Redirect URI. This is set authorization pair. Access tokens, application name. Well, this is definitely not right. Huh. Don't forget a fallback save. Yeah, this is definitely not the right way to do that. It's really strange. It's just really strange that there would be Google authorization code flow builder. Let me see here. YouTube API Spring MVC. Well, this one's Spring Boot, but we can maybe look to see what they're doing. API docs. Oh my god, it's not popping all kinds of things up. Content details, implementation. Alright, that's the data info. I don't care about the data right now. Just care about the initial handshake. So data API. Application name. That's not doing the initial. Oh, that's just using an API key. YouTube API OAuth 2. Let's see. Okay. This controller, blah, 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 auth2 authentication token. Oh no. Are you gonna use, they're using Spring Security for it? Damn it. That is not. YouTube API. What else to search for? What's the name of the Google? Google Client secrets. Let's try Google APIs. Let's do Spring MVC. Web server applications, here we go. Serves accounts to authorize API requests and client libraries. Station credentials, identify access scopes, which specific requirements. Direct to Google's auth2 server. They don't even give a Java example here, which is really annoying. Google prompts user for consent. Handle the server response. Simple OAuth2 server response. You can test this flow by clicking on the following sample URL. Okay. So there's a URL I build basically. Client ID should be redirected to localhost auth2 callback, which will likely yield 44 not found. Exchange authorization code for refresh and access tokens. Access token call Google APIs by completing the following steps. Okay. Credentials. Use a refresh token to obtain new access token. Client object. Use a Google client library for OAuth2. You can create and configure an object that defines these parameters. Okay. But this is... language specific Google API client libraries implement OAuth2 authorization. Okay, Java. OAuth client library. For Java. Developers, so samples. My credentials, port API secrets. building. It's building a. An HTTP client to do it. I mean, I could have a do it that way, but it's not proper. Like I should just redirect them. Servlets. What does this do? Servlet off. Starting with version 1.7. Usage of this for OAuth 2.0 is deprecated. Instead, use servlet off OAuth 2. Oh, this one here. Okay. Jakarta. Authorization code servlets. Just end user credentials. Credential authorization code flow service. Now we're getting somewhere. So flow load credential user ID. Oh, we're kind of getting somewhere. Get credential. Just one request at a time. Callback servlets. Okay, so snippets. What I'm gathering here is don't use this. Developer's guide. Not runway. Okay, no problem. No problem here. By Google, beta features deprecated. Almost 2.0. So what do I have? Hey, Kevin. What am I making? I am making a streamer alerts slash chatbot. Still in the early stages of it. Right now, just trying to figure out how to link how to link to YouTube. Essentially, trying to figure out how to get your initial credentials and stuff from YouTube and be able to put that on there. And the more I'm looking at the Google library for it, the more I'm ready to just do it, roll my own. But I'm trying to figure out authorization code flow. Not end user's browser to an authorization page and grant your application access to their protected data. So direct URL with a code query parameter can then be used as token using authorization code flow new token requests. Create and store credential to store and obtain a credential for accessing protected resources. Credential from the store based on user ID. Position code request response, token requests. Potential expired access tokens are automatically refreshed using a refresh token. If applicable, make sure to use data store credential refresh listener and set for credential using blah, blah, blah. And refresh listener. Okay. Well, this is a little bit closer to what I'm looking for. Google App Engine I don't care about. So, authorization code flow. You can call load credentials string based on the user ID. Check if the user's credentials are already known. If so, you're done. Well, I don't have to do that. I can do that myself. I'm going to keep the load credential. Authorization code flow load credential. Yeah, I'm going to store the credentials myself, so I don't need that. I don't necessarily need that, I guess. Protected resources. Data store. I feel like, as nice as these are, I feel like they're just not useful to me. Credential is useful to me because I'm going to have to pass credential to the to the API stuff. So there's a client secrets, off details. Because that does. Oh, I have there was a thing here. It's like, yeah. See, we have that. Credential, new authorization code, installed app. Let's use your return credential. Because these take a credential object. So what does that credential object look like? Structure the ability to access protected resources, but not refresh tokens. To use with the ability to refresh tokens, use builder. Equals credential dot builder. And then refresh listeners. Okay, so this is where you could add the listeners in. Set clock. Choose for expiration checks. Okay, that's fine. Client authentication. No, if not refreshing tokens. Parsing response for refresh token request or null if not refreshing tokens. Alright, it's a token server URL. So I'll have to refresh tokens myself. Sounds like. I would like for it to refresh its own, but I guess okay, so I would have to provide certain things for it to refresh its own tokens, as well as have a listener so that I can grab. Token server URL. What is this saying? Oh, it's going to take an access method. So, just want to see what this does. Just token server URL. Huh. I have to set the transport. Google Net HTTP transport. Google API client. Net HTTP transport is based on the HTTP URL connection built in the Java SDK. So it used to be the preferred choice. HTTP client, especially if you need some configuration options available in that library. Google API client. Used to be the preferred choice. Alright. Supports methods. Request. Okay. So I would set that, and then that would allow my callouts to just happen. And I would have to register a refresh listener so that I could capture the new access token and save it. JSON factory. JSON factory. Execute refresh token. Token server encoded URL. So that really wants the encoded URL. So what was the other URL just not used? Oh, this is setting token server URL as well. From URL encoded string. Okay. I don't think I have a reason to URL encode the string. But that's still setting token server URL. So then what is... So where's the get for that? Oh, get token server URL. But what, is there a get encoded? No, it doesn't look like it's... Although this is... What is... How is it getting that? Oh, there is a get token server encoded URL. But it's not set? That's weird, but okay. Now equals builder token server URL is null, then null. Otherwise, token server URL build. They've got like so many indirections here for that one little thing. Okay. Oh, I see. It takes a generic URL. So really I would do set token server encoded URL, and then that would just build it appropriately. Even though I don't have any reason to URL encode anything on there as far as I know. So for the token server, at least. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. So it seems like, so then where do I set the... Set client authentication. I don't see anything in here that's, I mean, this has facilities to refresh an access token, but I don't see I don't see anything that actually sets the access token on it. And that's... So they've got new authorization code. Installed app for credential. It says create, return new credential builder, authorization header access methods. Oops. Error token. Doing token server URL, client authentication. Oh, I see. So they're doing set client authentication, and then build and then set from token response. New basic authentication. So set client authentication. New basic. Wait, basic authentication is just username and password? What? What? Intercept. It can be used as either HTTP request initializer or HTTP request execute interceptor. Is this setting? I wonder if this is setting the header, the basic authorization header. Though I don't know why it would take a username and a password instead of just a token. Oh, it is. It's doing set basic authentication. Sets the authorization header as specified in basic authentication scheme. Okay, yeah. So www authenticate basic, that's the header, right? And so what's the username part of it? The password part of it? Client sends the, oh, to receive authorization, the client sends user ID and password separated by a single colon character. Authorization basic. Okay, here we go. User agent wishes to all paths out or deeper in depth. Okay. Right, but it's what is it in Google parlance? What is that? Excuse me. Oh. Just saying basic authentication. It says set client authentication. So, here's the problem, is this is... Oh, I bet it's the client ID and the client secret, probably. That's probably what it is. It's probably... client ID... and client secret, I bet. And then that is what it's using. Have they did a loop on it? Yeah, it's the this is the one problem with using Google libraries, is that Google engineers are messy, and they just kind of trying to follow their code paths is insane, right? Like they don't write code like a normal person should write code. They write code for themselves and they make it all flashy and crazy, and then try to hide all of it from you. Instead of taking a moment and writing something sane, they have to write something. They have to prove that they're hot shit, right? And so they write just crazy ass stuff that only makes sense to them in the long term, and then everyone else just has to deal. So it's just a annoying. That's why I'm kind of looking at this. I'm like, I want to use their API calls, but it just involves, like, I need to pass this credential. I mean, the only reason I have to pass a credential is so that it can do an automatic refresh on the token, which obviously I can do on my own if I get a, but then I have to, I'd have to check for, not authorized, and then do that. It would be nice if I could let this kind of do its own thing. But I bet that's what it is. Bearer token authorization header access methods. And I could look at the servlet example that they have. what are they doing here? Authorization code flow. Initialize flow. And they're using the credential data store. Have I made a Raspberry into the script? No. No. I have not. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're doing authorization code flow builder. Blah, 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 blah. Initialize flow. Build. And then, so building that. Request URL to string. We'll build initialize flow. Wait, why is there two initialize flows? Is it the same as this one? Error token. Build, yeah, it is the same. Great, their example is oh no, okay, it's in a different class. Oh, it's in the callback. Why would they need this again in the callback? Success on error. Handle error. Redirect URI. They don't even call this in the callbacks. I don't get it sometimes. Oh, they're extending abstract authorization code callback servlets. Oh, so I guess they're just implementing that because it's part of the abstract. Ugh. I thought that would give me some insight. I mean, it's giving me a little bit of insight as to what they're doing. They're doing this builder. Like how it just keeps redirecting me to this one page. All these links literally send you to the same freaking page, which is hilarious. So, getting the OAuth credential should be pretty easy because I could just do the same thing I did with the Twitch integration. Right? Because it's OAuth 2, it should work like an OAuth 2 thing. or I just build up a URL with the information in it, and I send that request out, and bing bam boo, it gives me results back. So that's fine. That part I think I'm just going to do on my own, because I'm going to maintain some of that. The problem is then I still want to use the YouTube APIs, but they're all sort of based on having that credential, it seems like. Although, let me see. So what is this doing? It's saying channels list request, YouTube service dot channels dot list. So YouTube service get service. Google Net HTTP transport, new trusted transport. YouTube Builder, Transport, JSON Factory, Credential. So application name, build. I think you're able to do something like that for an add-on. Yeah. So then calling authorize with that transport. Authorization code flow builder. Client secrets build. Just returns a credential, right? Hang on. So words are not coming to mind. Yeah. Trying to. So if I do. So if you do curl. So here's the authorization bearer, your access token. Oh, that's the access token that came back. But I mean, that's like I said, exchanging the initial token should be pretty straightforward. Because I can do exactly what I've already done. But the problem is, like, once I've got that, I still need to make a call out to get details, and I use the Google API to do it, or the YouTube API to do it, but I'm not sure I have an idea of how exactly that will work. Like, I'd have to build this credential thing up. And I have to, which I've started to do here. But Maybe I'll make a small example to send to YouTube to see if I'm on the right path. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. I just don't know what data to send. So this is explained in assuming you're going to use the library to do everything, which I kind of don't want to do. Using the credential. Store credential refresh listener. All right, so credential and credential store. Credential is a thread-safe OAuth 2 helper class. For accessing protected resources using an access token. When using a refresh token, credential also refreshes the access token when the access token expires using the refresh token. For example, if you already have an access token, you can make a request in the following way. New credential bearer token, authorization header, access method, set access token. Access token. Most applications need to persist the credentials access token and refresh token in order to avoid a future redirect to the authorization page in the browser. The credential store implementation is library is deprecated and to be removed in future releases. An alternative is to use the data store factory and data store interfaces, which are provided by Google Library. So here they're just doing new credential set access token. seems weird. Make the script after that. You only need a token and to make the script after that with Jason. Yeah, but it's... Yeah. Set access token. Credential. Set access token. So if I did... So let's see what this looks like. What does that take? Bearer token, authorization header, access method. So there's a set access token. And there's a set refresh token. So then no overriding noise for lifetime seconds of the access token or null for none. I don't know if I have the expires in seconds, but set from token response. This brings back a little bit of a memory, because like I said, I've done a little bit of this YouTube stuff before, and this is starting to jog some really old neurons, because I feel like this is what I did, because again I didn't want to use the Google storage nonsense, and so I was doing it myself, and I think I was doing this because I was saying set from token response. I vaguely remember this token response thing. Sets the access token refresh token and expires in time based on the values from the token response. It does not call the refresh listeners. Okay. So set refresh token. Okay. And then this has the refresh listeners. Initialize a request, intercept. Right, so this automatically intercepts the outgoing request to see if a token is expired, and it will try to refresh the token for the request. This is why I want to use this credential thing. This is why I want to set the refresh token on it, because it will actually take care of, it has this interceptor that will actually take care of automatically making the additional call necessary during a call to get the new token and stuff stored, or bring the new token down. And then theoretically I can use the listener. It'll invoke the listener for the refresh tokens to let me know that it changed, and then I then have an opportunity to then save that back to my secure data store. Yeah, this is looking more like what I want. So what's interesting though is they've got I've got the builder here. I wonder, does this have a set? So the builder doesn't even have the set access. This is what I mean about freaking Google engineers. They will drive you freaking nuts, right? Because it's like, why doesn't the builder for this credential have a set authorization or set what should we call it? Set access token and set refresh token on it, right? Because it should, but it doesn't, because they've hidden it. And then they tell you, oh, just use the builder for everything, and it's like, no, I'm implementing it myself. I don't want your damn builder pattern bullshit. This is one of the reasons why I don't like the builder pattern at all, because it encourages engineers to hide stuff, to hide implementation details that you actually want. And then when you try to go back and try to figure out how to get around the nonsense, it's like, you know, it's like pulling teeth. Am I going to do a delay? No, I'm just gonna, I haven't quite figured out yet where I'm going with it. I think I have to see how alerts and stuff work with YouTube. So like with the Twitch API that I have, it looks like you register like a long running like callback, and when an alert goes off, it'll call you back on the long running thread, the long running connection, really. I assume YouTube does the same thing, but I could be wrong, because it might be that I might have to poll to see any alerts that have gone off, which is going to suck, because every time you hit their API, you're using API tokens, and you only get 10,000 a day. So blow through those really quickly if I have to poll for stuff. So I don't know exactly yet what I'm doing there. So we'll see. We'll see. Just have to keep an eye on it. And what's nice about using this credential thing is I don't have to constantly poll to, like, I don't have to do an additional check. Like with the Twitch thing, I'm going to have to do an additional check to make sure that the token's still valid. And then if I get like a, you know, 422 or whatever it is, it says, you know, permission denied. Ooh, excuse me. It's like permission denied or whatever. Then I know I have to refresh the token, or I think actually Twitch says you have to hit a certain endpoint. So every time I make a call out to Twitch, I got to hit an endpoint first to make sure the token's still valid. If it's not, refresh it and then do whatever call I was going to do. So could end up doing like 2 or 3 calls per one call. I'm not sure how that will work with alerts and stuff. Yeah, alerts are bad for Java. Not necessarily. It's just I don't know yet how I'm going to like keep everything running smoothly. Like if you're not currently live, then I don't need to really care too much about anything going on. But then when you do go live, I need to probably still have to have something to try to detect that you've gone live. And then kind of kick into gear and say, oh, is there, you know, is your token valid? Your OAuth token valid? You know, save it off if it is. You know, save off the expiration time and all that stuff. And then just kind of run with that. So I haven't quite figured out how that's going to... Like, that part seems relatively straightforward, but I don't know... I don't know how I'm going to detect that you're live or not live yet. That's one thing I gotta do. I know that I think there's an endpoint to hit to do it, but I would have to kind of pull that endpoint often, which is gonna suck quite a bit if I have to do that, particularly with YouTube. With Twitch, I don't think it'll be that bad, but with YouTube, I think it's going to be a problem. Using making alerts for duplicating items. Yeah. Essentially, it's just like trying to figure out where that's... I don't have the full picture in my mind yet. This is the problem. Like, kind of, I haven't done an integration with Twitch fully, and I haven't fully done any integration with YouTube either. So I'm kind of like digging around here, handling it as it comes. See what I can do. Because that'll be one of the things I have to figure out, is like figure out when you're live and when you're not. Because I don't want alerts firing, like I don't want, like, you know, follower alerts firing off when you're not live, because that's not useful to anyone. You know, so, and I'm also going under the assumption that people are going to leave the application running. Now, if they just only start the application right before they go live and then they shut it down after they go offline, then awesome. But I don't want them to have to do that, you know? I want to be able to be a good citizen, as it were, and let them just leave the bot running and just have the bot itself kind of go to bed, you know, go to sleep, and then wake up when it's needed. And we'll have to see what that entails. That's another big portion of this, because I would rather not have to, like, shut it down and then start it back up and then shut it down and start it back up. I mean, it's not a big ask for people to do that. But I would prefer if it could just, like, hang out, like, maybe in the tray or something and just kind of do its thing. Don't want the videos of ping, but only the live one. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too, is that the YouTube API gives me access to, like, videos and all that stuff. And all I'm really interested in is the live stream stuff. So, but like followers and stuff, well, subscribers in case of YouTube would be on the channel, so that's not a big deal. But it's also, yeah, I gotta, there's a lot still I have to kind of work through, and I'm just sort of plugging away at it one little bit at a time here. All right, so this is, so that's credential. YouTube client ID, YouTube client secrets. Access token. So I only need these then for the initial handshake. And I'm not even going to do that through this. I'm going to do that through building a URL. So where did I build the URL at here? OAuth authenticate. This is coming back. So when I come in here, I say link Twitch. Yeah, I say build Twitch auth URL. Yeah. So with the state string, okay. So basically the same thing here. The YouTube auth URL. And that would be this. All right, so we have that. Okay. Off URL base. Usually do 2 spaces with comment. Yeah. Yeah, to try to separate it a little bit. APIs token. So then I need to set it over here, right? Wasn't there a... There was a thing I had open. It was over here. What was the one I was looking at? It's not that one. There's the scopes there. Okay, so Auth 2.0. Following query string parameters for web server applications. Client ID. Redirect URI. Response type is code. And scope. Alright, here's the parameters I sent. Okay. So so YouTube off the URL base. The scope is scary. Yeah. Scope is, for some reason, they, instead of making just a simple scope, they went crazy with their scopes. So client ID is here. Okay, so this copy. Client ID. %s, and then whoops, wrong one. Redirect URI. Be YouTube auth redirect URI. And response type, set the parameter to code. All right, so response type, auth response type. Of course, it's different for YouTube than everybody else. Private static final string YouTube. Auth response type is code instead of token. And then response type scope. Keep hitting the wrong one. Scope. So scope would be this. Read only for right now. So go up here and we'll say private static final string array YouTube auth scopes. Put that in there. What is static here? So static is static means if there's only one instance of the variable. So we're in object-oriented coding here. So the variable, instead of there being an instance of the, instead of the variable being at the instance of the class. So every time you instance a new class, you get a new copy of that variable. Instead, it sticks with the uh, definition of the class. So in other words, I'm saying just put this up at the class definition level. Every time a new instance of this class is created, it gets a reference to the very same variable every time. And then I mark it final, which is basically constant, so it can't change. And I do that because when the optimizing compiler comes in and the just-in-time compiler comes in, it'll look at some of this stuff and it'll basically look at that and go, oh, these are constant strings, they're not going to change, and it will optimize the location of them and basically make them almost free. I say almost because nothing's ever really free, but it'll be basically almost free from a performance perspective. So it just kind of makes it, they'll basically inline them wherever they're needed. They become part of the symbol table. And Java has a bunch of things that it automatically puts in the symbol table. Even if you don't really specify it, like say you have a variable that you set to number 1, like it'll have the number 1 as an integer in the symbol table already. And so it won't, the just-in-time compiler will look at that and go, I don't need to create a new instance of this integer because I already have one in the symbol table, until you change it. And then if you change it to something that it doesn't have in a symbol table, then it creates a new instance. So it kind of pushes off the instantiation of things as needed in order to help with performance and help with memory management and everything else. A lot of people don't like Java for very valid reasons. But the just-in-time compiler has gotten really, really good. I mean, so much so that, .NET basically snarfed it. And we have other languages like JRuby and stuff that run on the just-in-time compiler, and Jython and things like that. Because it is pretty darn good. It's not perfect. And there are instances when compiled code will be faster than interpreted code. But it's getting very, very close. It's a lot closer than it ever was. A lot of people kind of thumb their noses at Java and other interpreted languages and say, oh, they'll never be as fast as compiled code. And there are instances when they are actually as fast, if not faster, than compiled code because of the just-in-time compilation optimizing things away that a static compiler couldn't do, like couldn't predict things. But, we're talking, in many cases, we're talking like mathematical calculations and stuff, not really normal wear and tear. So I used to do Java back in 2010. It was nasty, but it looks cleaner now. Oh yeah, Java has you got to write the code each time module here. Java, I don't understand what you're so it's, I don't quite understand what you're asking, but Java has definitely improved. To write each code each time in a module. So I don't like it. It's still write write once, run everywhere. So I don't have to do anything crazy in that regard, per se. Because it's still, at the end of the day, interpreted. That said, the launcher and stuff is... They have this new thing that they introduced in Java 10, maybe? They introduced modules in Java 9. And then I think Java 10 was the first iteration of this, where the reason they introduced modules into Java was to be able to let you basically peel off pieces of the JVM and then compile that down into a binary. And so that's what I'm doing with the launchers. I'm saying I need, piece X and piece Y of the overall JVM, and it's compiling that down to a representation of binary for each platform, and then it's running that as a regular executable. I believe there's still Java code running. I believe it's still running the JVM. It's not fully compiled. There are fully compiled things like GraalVM now that will take your Java code and just fully compile it down into native code. But this, I think the stuff built in with the JVM is just really just giving you a embedded JVM that's running, and then it's kind of internally launching your app, as launching the JDK and all that, like launching the VM and then running the Java code, the Java bytecode. I don't know exactly where that separation is, though. This is my first time even playing around with that at all. But so far so good with that. I don't know if it performs any differently. That's the other thing I gotta kind of learn is, like, is it slower? Is it faster? Is it the same speed? I don't know. But it does make it so that, one of the biggest problems we always had was if you wanted to run a Java program, you needed to tell your users to go download a JDK to run it. Or you had to have a license agreement of some kind where you could have a JDK installed with your, next to your app and stuff. And now they've kind of taken it one step further and said, well, instead of forcing users to download a JDK, the JDK will become part of essentially your binary, and run your code on that, which also is really nice because you're not at the whim of the user to have the correct version of the JDK or anything like that. You're always giving them the version of JDK that you've compiled, and it's running separate from any other JDK on the system. So all that stuff is really nice. I just have to see how it all comes together. That's the real tricky part. I mean, so far so good from our testing, but yeah. Off scopes. So that's scope, and then they have other things here, right? JK wasn't Just want more of my, yeah, it's, yeah, it's got a little bit easier. A little bit. I mean, it's more, it's definitely more seasoned and more robust than it ever was. Which is also half the reason why I just keep writing these things in Java. I know people would rather see me writing it in, you know, TypeScript or whatever else, you know. But you know, the big problem is that Java got a bad rap early on, and it never quite lived that down. A lot of it was, I feel like, Microsoft's doing when they were trying to like push the old Visual J++ stuff, and they couldn't make it work. They couldn't do it because, you know, it's Microsoft and they never do anything right the first time. It always takes them a while to get something right, and they just didn't want to put the effort in to make that right. And I think they were kind of salty about that, and they just sort of gave it a black eye along the way, gave Java a black eye. And, you know, there are some things that are, you know, a lot of people, there's this big push right now. You know, people hate object-oriented programming. And they want to do everything functional. Everything's got to be functional. And I see where they're coming from, but they're also wrong. Because there's a place for both, right? Like, I certainly don't follow the principles of object-oriented programming. Because it leads you down past that causes you to make code that is a little bit harder to grok, a little bit harder to maintain, a little bit harder to just do everything with, because you've got levels upon levels upon levels of indirection to go through. And so I tend to try to, like, I'll use object orientation when it's appropriate, but for the most part, I do very basic stuff. I try to keep everything simple. I would rather have, you know, something, you know, something look a little bit more functional, with a lot of functions in it, a lot of methods in it, rather than having 20 other objects trying to collaborate with one another, you know, because it's just hard to just keep in your brain. I left when they were fighting. Kind of glad I did, but I know I am so lost. Yeah, but how I'm so lost. Yeah, no, I get it. It's yeah, it's that, you know. I was always, throughout my career, I've always tried to, I was very big on trying to make code that didn't require like a PhD to understand. And that's kind of the difference between me and, you know, a TEDx engineer or a Google engineer or something like that, you know. They're out there, you know, quoting every, you know, pattern, you know, coding pattern known to man, and every, you know, data storage, you know, device they can, and all this stuff, or mechanism, I should say, that they can. And it's like, you know what, just pick the easiest thing. pick the thing that actually can make most people can make sense of. It's not sexy. It's not. You're not gonna. I will never be the author of a white paper. I will never get an award for the code that I write. But at the end of the day, if someone can look at the code and be like, okay, I can kind of get where he's going with that, then I take that as the win. I take that as the winning variable. Yeah. That's also why, that's one of the reasons why I don't like test-driven development either, is that it just, number one, my brain doesn't work that way. And number two, all the examples I've seen of test-driven development cause you to write code that is a lot harder to understand in the name of having tests. Had red versus blue teams. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. And that's just that's the part I've always kind of gotten away from. It's just like I don't like. To me, what and whether or not you like test-driven development, I think tends to come down to what experience you've had coming up as a developer. Going from junior to senior and everything else. And I can tell you, junior developer, senior developer, moving up the ranks in the first job that I was in, my experience was, I was in a small startup that grew large, went from just breaking even to making millions of dollars a year in insurance. And they, there were moments there, like you went from a very small company of like 15, 20 people, all the way up to, I think we were at like a couple hundred at some point, maybe even close to 400. But by the time I left, and you get up to that size, along the way, you basically have to wear a lot of different hats. And, I remember very clearly, like, getting a phone call at 2 a.m. being like, production's broken. Everybody has to, pitch in when something's broken. Client is reporting something, and there's no like production support. Everybody kind of pitches in. Everybody wears multiple hats. And so you get up at 2 a.m. and you're looking at code and you're trying to debug it and you're trying to figure out what's going on and hoping to find a solution and put a patch in as soon as you can, as fast as you can, so you can get back to bed and try to get a couple of hours more sleep before you have to get up for the day. And that's the environment that I went, that I was raised in, I guess, as a developer. And so from that point forward, I always made sure that, like, whenever I write code, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, if it's 2 a.m., will somebody who has never seen this code be able to figure out what it's doing without having to jump through tests? And, because the TDD guys will say, like, well, the tests will tell you how the code works. It's never true. That has never, ever been true, especially at 2 a.m. No one's going to be looking through test suites and trying to figure out which one applies to where when there's a bug. They're going to be looking at the actual code, and they're going to look at this code and they're going to see how ugly and terrible it is to try to read at that, when your brain isn't fully awake, and they're going to struggle on something that should be relatively simple, and that's why I feel like that's kind of doing the test first is kind of putting the cart before the horse in many ways, you know, because you're not, I would rather have something that, I'd rather have code that, there's two things. I'd rather have code that follows some kind of logical progression, you know, architect it essentially. And two, I'd rather have code that is non-optimal everywhere in a system, rather than you know, super optimized and everything in this one section. You know, like I'd rather, if we're doing something wrong, let's do it wrong everywhere, so that when we come back later and we can do it right, we can start to do it right everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you know, all the places where it's wrong and you can do it right, kind of thing. You know, it's better to be consistent than right, I guess, is the mantra there. But yeah, that's kind of where that's why I look at things the way I do. That's why I moan and groan about, you know, documentation that's not helpful, like a lot of this stuff, and just burying stuff in plain sight and all that. The burying stuff in plain sight always gets me, you know, because it's like, if you reframe that in the how would I see this thing if I was barely awake, you know, and your answer is you wouldn't, then you probably did something wrong, in my opinion. Yeah, so you want to make things simple, not hard. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And I get it. Simple isn't sexy. Simple isn't necessarily performant. But sometimes it's just the better way to go. Alright, so we have the state here as well, which I've got in there. And then application use incremental authorization to request access additional scopes and context. If you set this to true, authorization request is granted. The new access token will also cover any scopes to which the user previously granted the application access. Enable granular consent defaults to true. Yeah, login hints. Knows which user is trying to authenticate. No. Have that for this one. Prompt would be select account. A case-sensitive list of prompts to present to user. If you don't specify this parameter, user will be prompted only the first time your project requests access. That's fine. I don't need to give that then. Probably. So that's fine. So in theory, I've got, I mean, it's OAuth, right? So that's pretty much the OAuth stuff, is this. I just got to look up the redirect URI from that file that I have. And really, I need to change the redirect URI to be something better here. So it'd have to be like YouTube redirect URI or something. Yeah. Huh. Select account username when they log in. It's whatchamacallit. Select account. So the way YouTube does it is it has two different windows that it shows you. Select account gives you all of your Google accounts, basically. And then you select the one you want. And then after you select that, then it usually gives you another screen to be like, oh, here's your different YouTube channels under that account, because you can have multiple. Like it can be, there's like this concept of like a business, not business, but like an overarching group account that has multiple YouTube channels underneath of it. So if you select that, then it'll say, okay, which channel do you want? Which are all different users, but they're, and then you click on that, and then it'll then prompt you for, it'll give you the normal OAuth prompt for consent, where it says, okay, application blah 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 is requesting these access permissions. Do you accept or reject? So that's what that means. The reason I give you this is because, like, when you're first doing a new flow, I think it just automatically does select account and goes through the whole thing, the select account and the consent and all that stuff. But if you're asking for, if you already know the user, or you're going through like if this user is already signed up at some point, has already gone through the flow at some point, you can turn all that off so that they're not reprompted, or you can reprompt them for consent too. So that's kind of what it's doing. Why didn't they just use user ID access? No yes flows are wild. Yeah, it's yeah, there's some there's some weird stuff going on here that they're doing. Not really weird, because like even Twitch had like an optional thing to whether or not to prompt again. So these are allowed by OAuth, but there are some like they try to do this like incremental authorization thing, which sounds good on paper, but it's actually really it's not necessarily difficult, but it's awkward. So what you could do is you could say like, I only need read-only access, and so they give you read-only access, and then suddenly the user says, oh, I want to do this other thing, and that thing, whatever that function is, needs a scope that's greater than read-only access. So then only then would you then go out to go through this flow again, and you'd say, hey, I'm asking for an additional scope now. And then here you might say, like, you wouldn't do select account here, you would just say consent, and then that would skip the account selection thing because you already know what account it is, and instead it would just bring the consent page up, and it would just have the new permissions that you're asking for. It'd be like, this app already has these permissions and it's asking for these new ones, which again sounds good on paper, but ultimately at the end of the day it's just kind of wasteful, because it's just like, I guess it, like, I can't think of any app that wouldn't, like, it comes down to how well the scopes are defined, and the idea is that you're only supposed to get the least amount of privileges that you need, but in reality the scopes are very rarely ever defined well, and so you end up having to request more access than you actually need, because there's some kind of data that you need from that particular access that's just on a normal day-to-day basis, even if the user doesn't necessarily need that information for whatever reason. So it's just like, it's a weird, I get what they're going for, and it's a nice idea on paper, but in practice it's just another hoop to jump through that most people would rather not jump through, because it's not really saving anything, you know. It just sounds like it's saving something. It's security theater. Really, honestly. All right. Well, unfortunately, so I still have to pull out the redirect URL, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to stop right now because it is midnight and it is a work night. So I gotta eventually go to bed here and strike out for a new day tomorrow. So I'm gonna just kind of leave this alone. I'm not gonna commit anything right now. But when we come back on Friday for some more coding, I just have to I'm going to do the initial OAuth exchange, which I think is just going to be pretty straightforward. Save the key off where I want to save it. And then I think we have an idea as to what we're going to do as far as building the credential. Which would be nice. And then hopefully I'll be able to build that credential and make a call out to YouTube to get the channel name and the channel profile picture. And then that will be on the new accounts page. And that'll be a big step forward, because that means that we've done, you know, just like with Twitch, that means that we've not only exchanged a token, but we've also done a call through the API to get information. So that'll be good. But anyway, that'll be a challenge for Friday, my friends. Let's see. Is there anyone on Twitch right now? I think it's going to be a kind of a dead week here. A bit of a dead week, I think. Yeah, there's nobody right now. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go, but not before saying thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Hope everyone has an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what it is for you, and hope to see you back here again in the future for some more stuff, whatever happens to suit your fancy. Until then, see you, bye.
Who are you and how did you get in here?
I'm a locksmith. And I'm a locksmith.